Good afternoon and welcome to this week's edition of Four Wheels and a Seat. I'm Alex Dalrymple. This is my channel where I review new cars every week for people who are looking to buy a new car, might not know which one to get. I can help you out with a pretty simple, straightforward review. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and if you enjoyed the video, please do give me a like. For the first time in a few years, I find myself in the Hyundai Tucson. I last reviewed this car, I think it was end of 2021, and you can check out that review by clicking the link just up there, or there, I can never remember which side it is. Anyway, check it out. I was not hugely impressed with the way that car drove. Admittedly, it was the diesel version, and this hybrid that I'm behind the wheel of now is a lot better. But outwardly, the two cars look pretty much the same. There haven't been a lot of changes to the outside of the Tucson since I last checked it out. Hyundai's look has evolved since that time, and the Tucson has not yet been updated. So at the front, we still have that sort of segmented LED driving light look, which I think actually looks really, really good with the main headlight clusters down low. This one gets full LEDs as opposed to the old one I reviewed, which had halogens for the main front headlights. So we kind of had yellow and white lights. Now it's all just white, which is good. Big blacked out Hyundai badge, because this car is a N-line model and it picks up a few extra little bits of kit on the outside of the car, including color-coded wheel arches, which look much better than the grey ones on the lower spec models. And we've also got larger wheels here. They're 19 inches and look really good. Around the back of the car, the light cluster is the same. It looks really good. I really like this design. It reminds me a little bit of a Mustang. One thing that has changed to bring it into line with other Hyundais is that there is now a full width LED at the back. Up front, a 1.6 litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine is mated to an electric motor. This is a hybrid powertrain, and together they output 172 kilowatts of power and 367 newton meters of torque, mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission that sends its power to the front wheels only. There is a all-wheel drive version available too. Fuel consumption comes in at an average of 5.3 litres per 100 kilometres on a combined cycle, so very efficient. The interior of the current Tucson, though, is now very different to the old model. It's had a complete refresh, and I really like it. It's brought it into line with all of the other new Hyundais. So most notably, there is the single curved display here featuring two 12-inch LED screens that look great. We've got a storage shelf over here on the passenger side, and the entire center cluster has been redesigned as well, with more sort of open area storage here in front of the main center console. As I said, the center screen is 12.3 inches. It runs the latest Hyundai software, which just keeps getting better and better with every iteration. It looks really good. The graphics are nice and simple. It's very easy to navigate your way around this system. There's wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and there is only one reversing camera on this particular car. It's at the back, oddly enough, and the image from that on the screen is nice and sharp. There are proximity sensors all around the outside of the car, and there is a graphical representation of those, so no top-down 360 view to help with parking, unfortunately. Climate controls are completely separate to the center screen, as they should be, and very simple to use. 2 zones of climate control. Just underneath that, 2 USB-C ports. One of them can be switched between power and data. The other one is just power only. Big open area here with a bit of extra storage. The center console here has a very comfortable armrest on it, controls for the drive mode, as well as the camera controls and hill descent control. Wireless phone charging that works really well when I take my phone cover off, and it has green LEDs that light up to show you that it's actually working, which is a nice touch. Cup holders here, they're a good size. In front of the driver is the digital instrument cluster, again 12.3 inches. There are 3 distinct display modes, but they all look pretty much the same. You can switch between them manually, or they can be linked to whatever drive mode you're in. Speaking of drive modes, there are only 3. Eco, Sport and My Drive. I think Sport works well. It's a little bit more engaging perhaps. The steering wheel is very different again to the one that was in the previous model. It had a really strange looking 4-spoke design wheel. I like this 3-spoke design much better. It feels a lot more sporty with the new Hyundai signature here on the steering wheel of the 4 dots or 4 pixels. And it has a slightly flattened bottom with an N badge on there to remind you that this is a N-line car. The push-button gear shifter that was in the old model has been moved over here to the steering column, and this is one of my least favourite features on new Hyundais and Kias. I just don't love using it. I find it a bit fiddly, and I always seem to put it into reverse when I mean to put it into drive, and vice versa. It's just not my favourite bit of kit in this car. The seats are very comfortable actually. They are suede with leather accents. The driver has full electric adjustment with lumbar support, so you can get into a very comfortable position. The seating position in the cabin is just right actually. I've got really good view, good visibility rather over the front of the bonnet, right to the front corners of the car. I can see all around the glass house really clearly. Blind spot mirrors, blind spot detectors rather, in the wing mirrors. There's no sunroof in this particular car, and with the black headliner and black interior in general, it is a little bit dark. A sunroof would be nice, but you can step up a spec to get one of those. Under the powered tailgate is a 539 litre storage space. Knock those seats down and it expands exponentially. So plenty of room to carry your family stuff around here in the Tucson. On the road, the Tucson is really nice to drive. As I said, I prefer this hybrid very much over the diesel model I drove a few years ago. That was a bit sluggish. This one has lots of go, 367 Newton meters of torque, as I mentioned before, and the hybrid powertrain I think is actually one of the most impressive I've come across lately, especially compared to the MG ZS I did a few weeks ago, where that engine would just rev insanely, like doing 4,500 RPM downhill at 50 to keep the battery charged. That does not happen here. The engine does rev sometimes to charge the battery, but it never goes above about 1,500 RPM, and it's very quiet. You don't hear much from it at all. The switching between the petrol and electric motors is seamless. You don't really notice the difference at all. Hyundai really do a fantastic job of getting the suspension right in all of their cars. They all feel fantastic because they're tuned here in Australia for Australian conditions, and this car is just so smooth and so quiet. It's not wallowy, it doesn't get upset over bumps, you're not jarring your back if you accidentally drive through a pothole. It's just so well done, and hats off to Hyundai. They do such a good job with their suspension tunes for Australia. Let's talk about beeping. Yep, like all new Hyundais and Kias, there's a lot of beeping to be done. They do that so that they can, make sure they get that 5-star ANCAP safety rating. The good news is Hyundai and Kia have pumped out a software update allowing you to mute a lot of the beeping, primarily the overspeed warning, by holding down the mute button on the steering wheel for about 3 seconds. That disables the beeping, but it keeps the speed sign recognition on, so you can easily see at a glance what the local speed limit is. But there is still other beeping, lane departure warnings and blind spot mirror warnings, but I don't find them as objectionable as the constant overspeed warnings, which are a good warning to have if they got the speed limit right, because half the time it is wrong. It's either a speed limit for an off-road or an off-ramp, or it's detected a sign somewhere, or it's missed a sign. In car parks especially, it is particularly annoying. So it is good to be able to silence that at the push of a button. Is the Hyundai Tucson a turn-back car, a car so good looking that you have to turn back and look at it after you've parked it? Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few of these on the road. They're not exactly rare, but it's still a really good looking design. I'd like to see what it would look like if Hyundai brought it in line with, say, some of their newer SUVs like the Kona and match that look. I think that could be really striking. But for now, the Tucson, even though it's been around for a while, still looks pretty good. The steering is kind of on the light side, and I really noticed that when I first got into this car because I'd just gotten out of an i20N, and that had very heavy steering, which I love. This does feel comparatively quite light, but after a week of driving around, I'm actually now quite used to it. So yes, it is light overall, but not worryingly so. You'll get used to it. Paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel control the amount of regenerative braking. It really only comes into effect when the car is in EV mode, which is a lot of the time actually. This car does spend a lot of time running off battery power only. And when it's in its highest setting, level 3, it's not quite one pedal driving, but you do notice that the deceleration is a lot more pronounced when you take your foot off the accelerator, which can lead to a bit of an uncomfortable ride for passengers if they're not expecting to have that sort of jerky on-off kind of feeling. So my advice would be to either turn it down a bit or off altogether if you're driving passengers, especially kids who are susceptible to motion sickness. You really don't want that happening in this car. But if you put the car into sport mode, the paddle shifters then become gear levers and you can manually control the 6-speed gearbox. So despite having been in its current guise for the last few years and maybe about due for an exterior overhaul, the Tucson still looks really good. It really still does stack up in terms of value for money and economy. It is tremendously efficient. I have been driving this car fairly heavily for the last week and I've still got 3/4 of a tank of petrol in it. So that is pretty unbeatable, especially in terms of a mid-size SUV. So if you're in the market for a mid-size SUV, you're not really sure what to get, you could do a lot worse than checking out the Hyundai Tucson Hybrid.